So let's be real. People talk about a midlife crisis like it's just something that people face at 40. But I know a lot of people that are going through a crisis every month that are not even the age of 30. Career confusion, relationship instability, spiritual direction. These are not just one particular crisis, but it's a crisis of uncertainty. And I feel like if we're not pushing to figure it out, ultimately we're not recognizing that it's not a heavy thing that people deal with and something that we need to learn how to navigate. All right, this is how it typically goes, right? It goes from unpreparedness to uncertainty to anxiety. And the pipeline is real. And no, I'm not talking about laziness. I'm talking about having a plan. I'm talking about being ready. And that's what makes uncertainty fester. That's what goes from, oh, it's just a mystery, I'm moving into the unknown, into a pit in your stomach. And it's just a looming thing over you as you're moving through the day. Now, a quick little personal example. Back in January, through the motions because I still do not have a job offer, and I was worried about that so much that one day I was like, I'm getting fed up with this, and I just cracked open Excel that night and I spent the next 6 hours building out a business model for marketing. Didn't know if I was going to use it, didn't know if it was going to be my plan for the summer, but ultimately I just had to spread myself a little bit open and figure out what are my options going into the next stage of my life. And because I gave myself options, I got more prepared and that fear shrank. Let me zoom in on this. Let me zoom in on this one. And now I say this with love. You cannot complain about the future without exhausting all the options that you can control. My fear was rooted in job insecurity. And what I really traced into it was that it wasn't just about money, although I wanted to figure out some type of cash flow, but it was also about how my family perceived me. So I had to do two things. I had to build out this business model to figure out some type of cash flow, but I also had to go talk to my family and have some uncomfortable conversations about what would it look like me coming back home to come and figure it out. But that's life. And those type of uncertainties are what you're going to have to go face and be reflective on when you're digging deeper. And slowly I moved from that fear and that pit feeling into moving into a little bit of the unknown, being a little bit excited about the mystery. That's the shift. Let's zoom out. There's uncertainty that you cannot plan for, right? If you're a federal worker and there's program cuts to your department, you may have to eat that. If you are a founder or a business owner and interest rates won't go down and there's economic headwinds, you may have to deal with that. Or even if just the biggest uncertainty for humans' existence of all is death, right? We have to live with that. And that's heavy and that's real, right? And there's a twist to that is that learning to live with uncertainty is a skill. It's something that you have to train. It's something that you have to develop. And it's something that, until you are okay with accepting, it's going to keep being a burden on you. Think about it. If you're on a trip with somebody, would you rather have a person that if something goes wrong, that they're complaining about it, they're crying about it, they're not really assessing the situation? Or would you rather have someone that's a little bit more easygoing, understanding, and can laugh about it in the moment? Right? This is not just within a group trip sense, but it's also in a professional sense. If something goes wrong, are you going to have somebody that you could clutch arms with and joke about it? Or are you going to have somebody that just looks and sees the negative in everything? That's what training that skill of uncertainty looks like. And sometimes it makes you more approachable, likable, and employable. This is a skill that we develop, but it's not just in a professional realm. It's in a social realm. It's in a family realm. It's a life skill. It's one of those infinity stones. And if you think about it, every major life commitment is uncertainty. The person you love might leave. The business you create might flop. The major you choose might be useless in 10 years, might be useless in 2 years, 6 months if you're comp sci. But that's not a reason to stall. It's a reason to move intentionally, right? When you stop fearing uncertainty, you can start accepting change and start recognizing that the journey is the reward, similar to what I was talking about in my last video. Here's what I learned though. Every opportunity started with somebody not understanding how this is going to go. I don't know how this is going to work, but I'm going to try. So instead of looking at uncertainty going into anxiety, you can look at uncertainty into anxiety, into curiosity, into excitement. It's a string of feelings, it's a string of emotions, but you need to bet on yourself and you need to bet on your gut, because the only thing that you can bet on for a fact is that uncertainty is going to happen. So just develop the skill. Listen, this life never came with no roadmap, so there's no point in even acting like you can create it for yourself. You can have different outlines, you can have different paths or where it might go, and that's a preparedness, but there's an element of uncertainty that will always come. So instead of trying to go against the grain, just let it flow through you. You know, take notes, be reflective, understand what's going on, and train yourself to understand not everything is going to be understood. Let's stop fearing it. I know it's a quick video, gotta keep it out. Once again, I'm in grad season. Life is about uncertainty and you orchestrating yourself around it. With that, it's been Saadiq Ranks. I love y'all, Creative and Corporate. I will see y'all next week. Like, subscribe, watch my other videos. They're all gems. Big ups.